Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Tales of Geordie Matt, where I have the easy role of introducing my dad, and I wind him up, and off he goes and tells wonderful stories. So we're jumping around all over the place. We've focused on his youth in Gateshead during the war, but we're now going to fast forward to when he was an apprentice. So he earned his living to start with as an electrical apprentice, and that's very, very different to today. It was before electric drills were invented, and I like to think about it as the up and coming technology of the day. It was like being a computer man when computers were just started, or an AI man now. So, and today we're going to try and do cover two of my favourite stories. We've got the bull in the abattoir and the recycling women. So, Dad, do you want to start with the bull in the abattoir?
Yes, okay. Yeah, I was about 17, an apprentice, and the firm I worked for in Newcastle was called Falkland Cross. Long established, one of the first companies in there, all sorts of work, industry, never did houses, except mansion houses, big offices, lots of commercials. And you never knew where you were going to work. So came in one Monday, and the boss said, right, you go with Herbie Gallen, that was my electrician, to Acklington in Northumberland to put a new piece of equipment into a slaughterhouse, a cooperative slaughterhouse. So off we went. Foreman came with us, and it was behind it. There was on the main street co-op shop. Behind it was a slaughterhouse and a back lane. And further up the back lane was a dairy, co-op dairy.
So, Dad, sorry to interrupt you, but can you? This is not actually in Gateshead. You used to kind of travel quite a long way to get to these
Oh
places.
yeah, contract
Describe
work.
that process. It's quite fun.
Well, the company had no vans at all. You went everywhere by bus. Any electrical equipment on the site was ordered from the wholesaler to be delivered to the site. Small jobs, you had to carry a haversack full of old bits of metal and things and pieces of conduit sawn in half where you could get on the bus. Anyway, this day we were lucky it had all been delivered to the site because there was a large number of electrical equipment, a reciprocating electrical saw. It was a slaughterhouse and they slaughtered pigs, sheep, and cattle. And when they slaughtered the cattle, they used to suspend them by the back legs after they killed them and saw them down the middle with a handsaw, like sawing a piece of wood.
Right.
And it was quite hard. So we were putting in a reciprocating electric saw, not a rotary saw, a reciprocating in and out, counterweighted. So they could just lift it up, put it between its legs and press the button and go gently down and it would cut it right in half neatly.
So,
So
Dad,
that,
I'm going to stop you again because just to warn people that the content of this story is, if you're of a sensitive nature, you're probably already thinking, "Oh my goodness, I shouldn't be listening." So if you're thinking that already, I suggest you
too
stop
late
now.
now.
But
Yeah.
I just remind you that it wasn't something that you took too easily either. That new environment.
Anyway, um, we were doing other jobs in the slaughterhouse and were working off an extension ladder. So it was quite high at the back of the slaughterhouse. And they'd been killing cattle all day, but this day in the afternoon, they said, "Oh, we've got a special this afternoon. We've got it." They had a name for it. It was a famous farmer's bull. It was a great big thing with massive horns.
So it was a prize bull, yeah.
It was, yeah, well, it was getting old, something wrong with it,
Okay.
had to be slaughtered. So brought it in to the slaughterhouse with a noose around its neck, and there was a big ring on the floor. And how they did it, they pushed the rope through the ring, and two men stood on the end and pulled it so its head lowered. And one man came in with what was called a captive boat pistol. You put a cartridge in, press the trigger, and a spike about 6 inches would project, but not leave the gun, just project. So the said, right, everyone ready? Pull the thing, we'll put its head down. The guy leant across, put the pistol to its head. And as he pulled the trigger, the bullet moved its head. And the spike didn't go into its skull, it just
Oh no.
nicked the top. The bull didn't like it. It gave a jerk, and the two guys pulling the rope was pulled towards the ring. One of them fell on the floor, and the bull turned around, and it was a gated enclosure, and you could see the outside, and it just went through the gates and just smashed them to pieces
Wow. Wooden
into the
gates, was it?
back lane. We were terrified. We were off the ladder, we climbed off the ladder and jumped onto the girders and stayed there. We could see outside.
So you're up in the air now, kind of
We're up
safe
in the
from all
air, we
the.
were looking down outside. It was a sunny day, and we heard clinky clanky. And further up the lane was the dairy. And
Okay.
there was these a big horse, a big bay horse, not one of these little horses. It's full of big four-wheeled cart loaded with milk trays. And it was coming down the lane as the bull came out looking for somewhere to go. And it didn't like the look of the horse. So we saw it disappear up the lane. And we didn't see it, but we saw the aftermath.
So the bull went for the horse, basically. Is
It
that
went for
right?
the horse and cart. We're not sure which, but the horse was coming down the hill, saw the
Uh-huh.
bull coming, and it didn't hang about. It just turned quickly and went the other way, taking with it the front wheels of the cart.
So you can't
Actually
really do a
broke.
U-turn that sharp in a horse and cart.
It broke them the way the front wheels were detached from the front, and the cart fell on the floor, and all these milk crates collapsed. All we saw, we heard the crash, and
Right.
we saw a white river flowing down past into the main street. Then we saw them more. By this time, the slaughtermen had all scattered and were outside, and all ran in again and clambered up. Some of them came up the ladder with us because the bull came down and looked inside the slaughterhouse and thought it was going to come in, but it carried on into the main street. And for the
So
next
it
half hour,
reminds me of the festivals they have in Spain where they let the bulls loose. They were amateurs at that game.
yeah, and for the next half hour, went up and down the street causing havoc. It went into one or two shops and destroyed counters and all sorts.
So literally a bull in the china shop, yeah?
It was, yes, literally. Eventually, they got to the police, and the police called in the army. There was a territorial army base, and the soldier came in with a rifle and had to shoot it.
So
Um, so
that
that
is
was,
that is quite a story you've got there, Dad. That's why it's a classic. But can I just remind you that you nearly got yourself out of that job? Is that right?
yeah. So the first day I came there, I mean, I never saw anything killed before, and I was 17 and went there. And the first day we were working inside this thing, and there was no one there. Then all of a sudden, the gates opened, and about 50 sheep came in, and 3 or 4 men who began to kill them and cut them to bits. And it was very upsetting. I
I
thought,
can
oh, I can't
imagine.
stand that. And my electrician, he was tougher than me. He said, oh, you get used to it, you get used to it. And I said, oh, I can't put up with this. I said, oh, I've got to go out, I can't watch. So he says, well, I'll give you an hour. So I went outside, and when I came back, they stopped killing them. So I carried on working. And then they brought some cows in, and that was terrible. That was, I'll not describe it, but I
Yeah,
just
yeah.
couldn't stand it. So I went out again. I said, oh, I'm not going to that again. So we got back to town, went and saw the boss. And I said, I can't go there again. I can't stand seeing things killed like that. He says, why not? He says, it happens all the time. You eat meat, don't you? I said, yeah, but I've never seen it killed before. He says, I'll tell you what, he said, we've got no one to take your place and we'll lose money if we don't finish that job this week. He says, give it 2 more days. And if you still want to leave, I'll arrange for you to swap it. And after 2 days, I could stand it. I mean, the first day, the slaughtermen used to have 10 o'clock breaks, and they had a pot-bellied stove in this cabin of theirs with a massive frying pan where to fry up
Oh.
choice bits of meat, which were only 10 minutes old, into fresh bread from the co-op shop. And I thought it was disgusting, but at the end of 3 days, I was having a sandwich with them.
I
The
think
only thing
that's,
I would
yeah.
warn anyone watching, next to the shop was a pub on the main street. And the slaughterman used to go in there,
Uh-huh.
and people used to come and say, any chance of a half a shoulder or arm or
Oh,
something?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And they would say, yeah, oh, I saw you all right. Well, there was a place called the Condemned Hole. When something was slaughtered and was hung up, an
Uh-huh.
inspector used to come from one of the
Yeah,
ministries, who would inspect the meat to see that it was safe for human consumption. And some of the sheep had something wrong with them.
yeah.
Not sure what it was. But he used to have a squirter full of green ink,
Okay.
and he used to squirt this down the carcass to
Yeah,
stain
yeah.
it. And he used to say, right, I want to see it go in the condemned hole. We'll take
Uh-huh.
it in. As soon as he was gone, out it came. He'd
Yeah.
get a hose pipe on, wash as much of the green up as they could, and skin bits off. And the bits that they could save were sold to the men in the pub. And the men in the
Right.
pub,
So that they were sold to their friends and to,
well, they
the
weren't friends.
community.
I think
Yeah.
they wouldn't give condemned meat to their friends. But I thought I'd just tell people that if you ever think this little amount of selling some cheap meat, where does it come from? It's all counted in, and the good stuff is counted out.
Yeah,
It's the
yeah,
condemned stuff that isn't. Because I remember that the condemned meat lorry came one day, and we used to catch the bus there and back and
yeah.
pay cash for the bus fare. And it was going back to Newcastle. And my electrician said, any chance of lift back? And he said, well, my mate's in there. There'll be three up the front if you can squeeze in with us. But you all have to go in the back with the meat.
Oh, yuck.
There was a tarpaulin on it, but he'd been to three or four other places. And it was smelly, and I was there about an hour. Well, it was only an hour. And I had to keep my head above the cab, keep the
Oh, right,
smell
to
away.
keep the smell out of your nostrils.
I'll never volunteer for that again. So
Okay, so let's move on to another occasion where you had to scrabble up to the ceiling of a building
yeah,
to
it was a
protect yourself from scary things.
there was a big company who did scrap metal, well, scrap everything, scrap woolens. Them days, woolens. Well, there's men with house and carts come round, and you could take woolens out and get cash. Anyway, there was a big distribution place where they sorted things out, and there was a large part, a big, like an aircraft hangar was so big, where they sorted woolens and rags out. And it had about 20 women working there. And there were women. There was no young, pretty young girls. They all appeared to be middle-aged or, well, it was a dirty job. It's not the sort of job a nice young girl would do because they smelly clothes and they wore sack aprons and bonnets on their head. Anyway, we were putting new lighting in and it was high and we were working off a three-piece extension ladder. I was at the bottom of the ladder, who I knew by my electrician. There was a young, good-looking guy at the top. And we used to have tea breaks with him and they used to kid on and it was quite friendly. Until one day, it was there 10 o'clock, the ladies were having tea. And one of the one said to the other ones, he's a good-looking lad up there, isn't he? I think we should have him down and see what he's made of. What do you mean? And they said, come down a minute. He said, what for? Want to see what you're made of? I'm not coming down there. Let's get him, girls. And he came.
Well, they
And
all got up and rushed towards you, did they?
yeah, well, I was at the bottom of that and I rushed up there and sat on the girl with him. And some of them came halfway up, but it was too high for them. And I said, you've got to come down sometime. I'm going to wait for you. So they went back to work, but we were frightened to come down. And there was a forelady who was very formidable. She was a big woman
Uh-huh.
and she had a voice like a foghorn. And when she came in, Ray, I remember the electrician's Ray, he says, he says, we're frightened to come down because your women are going to attack us. And she says, why? And he explained, she says, you can't do that, you lot. Come down now, I'll stay for a while. He said, well, if they make a move, we're going to be out the door, we're not going to come back. So she made them promise not to molest us. But it was a nervous couple of days till we finished that job.
So
But we
you were
made
glad
sure
when
the door was open and
that
we had
was
a clear
over.
escape.
So yeah, I think times have definitely changed a bit since then,
Oh
Dad.
yes, things wouldn't be allowed now. Now.
So just as a little kind of aperitif, uh, tell us the story of the Lost Apprentice.
Oh yeah, we were rewiring a school. There's still a lot of places on mains gas. I remember it was a village outside Newcastle called Hazelring, and it was gas, and an electricity supply had come on. And there was three electricians and three apprentices went. We had to do it quickly because during the holidays, it had to be rewired, all the gas taken out for the school kids coming back. And again, we always went on the bus. One of the lads had a motorbike, but that was his way of getting there. Anyway, we always started at the shop, caught the bus, came back and signed off at the shop.
So
So
that means you only kind of worked 6 hours out of
yeah, it
eight,
was still some we weren't working. Hexham was 20 mile away. We used to
right?
get the bus there and the bus back. We were only on
Wow.
the job for 2.5 hours. Anyway, this day we came back and we signed the things and we're looking and one of the guys says, "Where's Herbie?" Herbie was a young apprentice. And they said, "He must have signed it." He said, "No. Was he on the bus with you?" No. He said, "Did you get a lift on your motorbike?" No. And the other apprentice says, "Oh God, he's still up the loft." He said, "Why would he be up there?" He says, "Well, he was chicken us, so we're tied under the main beam." He says, "Well, he's still tied up the loft." Yeah, he said, "Oh." So I said, "I'll go on the motorbike and get him." So we waited, and he only took about over half an hour. He whizzed up there, got the loft, rescued him, brought him back, and we threatened him with dire consequences if he said what had happened to him. And he was good. He was just glad to be released because he thought he's going to stay there the rest of the night.
But that's positively Dickensian or Tom Brown's school days. Did you used to get up to anything else like that as
Well, there
apprentices?
was a big department store called Fire near the cattle market, a big three-story building. And our company went in to help make the electric safe while they were gutting out and clearing all the water destroyed everything. And there was these big globes full of electric and all the water had filled them up.
Uh-huh.
And we discovered as young apprentices, if you got rid of conduit and putty, you could use them as a
Uh-huh.
blowpipe, and we used to find each other. If you put a screw or a nut in the putty and fired at one of these globes, they used to smash, and all the
Yeah.
water would come down. So we'd hide behind somewhere, wait till somebody went underneath one, and three or four of us would fire till it smashed and went down. That was good fun. And one of the apprentices was a little scampi was he was all. And the builders had a pulley and rope from the top floor down to the street,
Uh-huh.
where they would lower heavy things straight onto a lorry. So he was acting himself this day. So we got a hold of him, tied him up, brought his arms to his side, got him upside down, tied his feet onto the rope, and pushed him outside and lowered him down halfway. We would pull him up
How far is he suspended in the air by his feet?
by his feet. We tied him firmly. He wasn't going to fall off. It was about 60
Oh,
foot,
I'm
I
very
suppose.
reassured through.
It was about 60 foot. So we'd
Bloody
lower him
hell.
for a bit, then we'd make a little loop of about 2 or 3 yards and let go, and he'd think he was dying. And he was screaming like mad and would hold him again. Next thing we know, the police arrived. There was an office off there, and the office girls had seen what we were doing and
Yeah.
rang the police.
Uh-huh.
The police came in and gave us a right telling off.
My goodness,
Threatened to
I've not heard that one before. I'm
threatened
not
to sue
surprised.
us, and we were on the best behaviour then.
So, well, as we're on a roll, Dad, can I remember of you remember a certain sword fight that you had that wasn't
Oh
approved
yeah.
of?
Our boss was a big Freemason,
Uh-huh.
and as a result, we got all the electrical work at the Masonic temples. It was a big one in Newcastle, and we were working there. And there was lockers where the people came in and put the regalia on. And
Uh-huh.
we discovered there were swords in there. They were
Right.
blunt, but they were just ceremonial. But this lunchtime, we had a quick lunch and one an hour, and electricians had gone to the pub, and there were three apprentices there, and we'll see what we could find. And one of them got a sword out. So we decided to have a sword fight.
Uh-huh.
And we're sword fighting up and down, jumping on the chairs and all that. And the boss turned up. And he was a horrible old boss. Next one heard, sacrilege, he said, sacrilege. You're all sacked. You're all sacked. You're going to pay for damage to them swords. So he said, get back to the shop. You're all going to be sacked. So we went back to the shop, and he was about an hour old thinking what we're going to tell our mums and dads. And we lost our apprenticeships because there was a proper apprenticeship. We were going to night schools, and
Uh-huh.
we'd get indentures when we came back. And when he came back, he said, right, line up there. And the phone went. And he was having an argument on the phone somewhere.
Yeah.
The foreman went in and he said, tell them boys to get back that job. And if they do it again, they will be sacked. So we got away as quickly as we could. That was until the next time we were going to be sacked. As you go over the Tyne Bridge into Newcastle, there's a big church on the right-hand side with a curved roof.
Uh-huh.
And we were working in there. The pulpit is in the centre of the church. Lovely church. And there's an organ there. And it was a Methodist church. And we were working there. We were working in the loft. It was a big job. And we had a new electrician came to join us. We used to go around and sit in the middle of the church to have our tea break in the evening, sandwiches. And he said, that's a lovely looking organ there. And somebody said, well, do you know organs? He says, oh, yeah, I'll play one in the pub at night. He said, do you reckon you could play that?
Right.
I'll play any organ. So we switched the juice on, I get the wind. And I always remember the tune he was playing. It was Ain't Misbehaving. It was really good. Da-da-da-da-da-dum, da-dum, da-dum. And then we started singing it.
All right. In the church, oh dear.
And the boss came in and top, and it was sacrilege again. Sacrilege! Sacrilege! You're all sacked. The God's house, sacrilege. Yeah.
So I presume you got out of that one as well, Dad.
We did. He wanted the job finished. There was three electricians. He couldn't just replace them. We all got told off, promised not to do it again. And we didn't. So we worked in lots more churches.
So there was a happy ending then.
It was.
I think we'll call it a day then, Dad, because that was
Right, okay.
that was an absolute classic. So thank you very much. Say goodbye to everybody.
Goodbye, everyone.